Joe, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? Woodhouse, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? How's things? Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Mickey, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Ronnie, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Hi, Miles and CMF. Hope everyone is good. I'm doing brilliant, brother. How you been? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good mental. Let's go, Scott. How you doing? How you been, brother? Everything okay here? You? Everything's okay with me as well. There's a lot of things happening, but everything's okay. Let's do a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about tonight's episode. We are on episode essentially 215 right now. This is the CMF episode 215 of the live show. So let's do a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's episode, and then we'll do the intro, disclaimer, and by that time everyone's tuning in for the first part. So on tonight's episode of CMF Live, we're going to be talking about South Korea. The reasons why the market has been impacted slightly on certain crypto assets and not the rest is because of South Korea. It's also the reason why XRP was slightly affected today as well. So we're going to be talking about essentially South Korea's market space and the whole martial law situations going on over there. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin on tonight's live show as well, regarding 10 US states actually getting prepared to start using Bitcoin as a strict reserve asset. We're going to be talking about BlackRock reaching new highs in terms of their Bitcoin ETF space. We're also going to talk about Coinbase on tonight's live, essentially cutting ties with law firms that are essentially hiring SEC essentially members, and they're standing their ground, you could say, on Coinbase. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Grayscale filing in a new spot Solana ETF with the SEC. We're also going to go through the news of the next SEC chairman. Apparently, it's going to be Paul Atkins. Now, on this live, I've been discussing the matters of who could possibly be the next SEC chairman. Paul Atkins was one of the members that could have been chosen. There was also the Hester Pierce. She's known as the crypto mom. There was the other person as well, Paul, who's also known as crypto dad from the SEC and so on. But right now, there is a 93% chance that it is going to be Paul Atkins. Apparently, it isn't confirmed, but there is a 93% chance. So we're going to go through that tonight's live. We're also going to talk about the renowned developers revealing. So the renowned developers of Bitcoin.com or Bitcoin.org, the famous website for Bitcoin, there's something going on Bitcoin which nobody's talking about, which we're going to go through on tonight's live, which could have an impact on Bitcoin. We're also going to talk about Chile on tonight's live as well. Chile is the only country, you could pretty much say, rejecting the entire idea of a Bitcoin reserve asset essentially in their central banks. We're also going to go through comments made by Raoul Paul on tonight's live as well. Raoul Paul making comments about highlighting essentially individual financial empowerments through crypto exchanges. We're also going to go through the news topic on tonight's live regarding Russia. Russia's economy is not doing as strong as everyone thought. The new numbers are in, and Russia is also heading towards an economic bubble crisis, the same way China is, and so is the EU and America and the UK put together. We're going to be talking about France on tonight's live as well. France is essentially having some issues, and they're also proposing a essentially unrealized tax on Bitcoin gains. Now, France is obviously going through their own economic crisis situation as well. We're going to be talking about the third rate cut that could possibly be happening this month. If we do get a rate cut, obviously it's a positive announcement for the crypto space. Rate cuts, as I said previously, are an indication that the economy is not doing too well, which means people will hedge against it using alternative assets. And if crypto has been priced in, then we know what's what. We're also going to talk about Ripple's CLO on tonight's live as well towards the end of the live show regarding his new perspectives on the market space, and Ripple Wales on tonight's live show as well. We're going to talk about that. So, mixture of news to talk about on tonight's live, just as always on the CMF Live. Now, before we go through any of those news topics, the first one we are going to be covering is regarding South Korea's situation that's going on, that's impacting the markets right now. Sorry about that, everyone. So, if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live. If you watch this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Mouse Family. My name is Miles. I go by the person of Crypto Mouse, and I'm your host, as I am every single night between Monday to Friday. On this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. Vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. The disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and what advice is only for entertainment purposes. And we also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And we're on episode 215 of the CMF Live, which is incredible, to be honest. So I also want to say thank you so much to everybody that's retweeting this live right now. I'm getting notifications on X. Thanks so much to everyone that's retweeting this live on X, who's liking this live on X, who's putting a comment outside the video on X. And thank you so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching this right now, who is also liking the video as well. Now, before we go through the first news, which is regarding South Korea, which has impacted the market space, let's go straight inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the South Korean news and why it's impacted the market and why is it only impacting certain crypto assets like XRP, which isn't really a major downfall, to be fairly honest, but we're going to go through it on tonight's live. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going on in there. T, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hello, Miles. T, how you been? The same to you, my friend. Let's go. Scott, evening, Miles. Hope all is well. Jeff, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? Share the live, folks. Let's go, Scott. Good evening, Miles and all CMF. JP, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Evening, Miles and family. Ian, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? Hello, how you doing, Scott? Let's go. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Reem Feather, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, all CMF. Woodhouse, let's go. Evening, Miles and CMF. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Addy, good evening, Miles and all the CMF. I hope everyone's in profit. Yes, always. Let's go, Addy. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. Morning, how you doing? Morning, Miles and CMF. Funky brother, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, all Susie, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Talk, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles and family. Put your seatbelts on, going for a few bumps along the path, seeing a huge profits and ISO 200 tokens. God bless and thanks God Trump won. I agree 100%. Thank God Trump won. I've been saying this for a million times, and I'll still say it. Okay, we got a weird person inside the conversation. Miles, I sold all of my Solana and have the money sitting on the sidelines. What do you think I should do? Buy more X's? If you've already sold all of your Solana, then, preferably you want to go inside the X's. If you want, you can wait for a little bit of a price drop, of a correction type of scenario, which is happening due to the South Korea and Marshall situation, which it's the first topic we're also going to discuss on tonight's live. How you doing, Miles? I'm doing great. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Hello, CMF and Miles. Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So, first news on tonight's live is regarding South Korea, which pretty much happened out of nowhere. Even the US was shocked regarding South Korea's situation. In the UK was shocked that South Korea suddenly overnight had this situation going on, which has impacted the crypto market space, specifically some crypto assets. So, here it is. Crypto market crash in South Korea after martial law essentially declaration. South Korea's cryptocurrency sector has a crisis situation going on since the president Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law today. This unexpected political development has sparked widespread concerns among investors, resulting in significant price drops across several cryptocurrencies. The reason why it's several cryptocurrencies, not the entire crypto market that's impacted, is, well, because South Korea has a purchasing, essentially, targets. South Koreans, the crypto assets they typically choose to go for due to the data that keeps on being released by South Korea. The number one asset South Koreans buy is XRP. The second asset is HBAR. And the third asset is Bitcoin. Or it's XRP, Bitcoin, HBAR, or it's XRP, HBAR, Bitcoin. But either way, XRP is the number one purchase. And South Korea going for a situation like this impacted XRP's price today. Look on Chain, a blockchain analyst tool, claimed that South Korea's cryptocurrency markets has fallen essentially following the President Yoon's prolongation of the martial law situation today. Bitcoin's price also fell more than 30% on the Upbit platforms, reaching around $62,000 shortly after the martial law announcements. This steep fall created an arbitrary opportunity as Bitcoin was trading for about 4,000 more on worldwide platforms. Meanwhile, other coins like XRP, Dogecoin, and XLM, and HBAR, and so on had price losses. However, some Bitcoin whales seemed unfazed about this development. According to Look on Chain, a number of whales have transferred large sums of USDT to Upbit exchanges, most likely in the attempt to seek bottom fishing chances, because this whole South Korean situation isn't going to be lasting forever. And a lot of whales are now weighing in their money inside the market space and buying some certain crypto assets at discounts. Because of the war between panic sellers and bottom fishermen, Upbit has announced that its application and open API services are now halted and are experiencing problems due to temporarily increase in traffic. The political instability in South Korea has caused a drop in both the crypto and traditional financial markets as well. South Korean stocks have fallen, with ETFs like the iShares MSCI South Korean ETF is losing more than 5%. The South Korean won has likewise devalued versus the US dollar. And just to put in perspective regarding the matters of XRP in South Korea and why this news is affecting XRP's price right now, the trading volume for XRP slash the South Korean essentially currency on Upbit exchange has surpassed $7 billion, which is crazy. Just from South Korea, $7 billion was added essentially to XRP. And that's according to data from CoinMarketCap. In fact, the trading pair accounted for nearly a third of the exchange's trading, essentially volume. HBAR also and BTC came in second and third place on South Korean exchanges for the type of purchasing that was going on, but XRP was ranking first. According to the analytics firm Look On Chain, the South Korean cryptocurrency market has experienced significant turmoil. Some South Korean won trading pairs started plummeting on Upbit, with XRP falling to $1.89 and Bitcoin slipping below the 80,000 level despite trading above $90,000 on major exchanges. Because of what's been happening in South Korea, Upbit exchange in South Korea, the prices weren't matching up. The exchanges outside of South Korea were showing Bitcoin at essentially 95,000 and above dollars, and the exchanges outside of South Korea were showing XRP at higher price volumes. However, because of South Korea's situation, their currency getting devalued, Upbit exchange was showing discounted prices on crypto assets, on some crypto assets, which caused Upbit exchange in South Korea to halt their entire operations. So people stopped buying discounted cryptocurrencies that were priced differently on other exchanges around the world. Meanwhile, essentially, many whales transferred large amounts of USDT tokens to the lending trading platforms, anticipating bottom fishing opportunities before Upbit essentially decided to halt their trading services. As reported as well, XRP's astonishing rally was seemingly driven by strong buying interest from South Korea. These past recent days, XRP's strong movements, the majority of the money was coming essentially from South Korean exchanges. Earlier today, the XRP trading volume on Upbit exchange managed to surpass the total trading volume of essentially South Korea's primary stock market index, just to put in perspective. Earlier today, the Ripple affiliated cryptocurrency also surged to multi-year peaks of $2.82 before giving up some gains due to the South Korean situation. So that is essentially the reasonings why XRP dropped slightly today. It's because of South Korea. The number one crypto asset purchased in South Korea for the longest time has always been XRP. And this recent upsurge that we've been having, yes, we're getting a lot of essentially transactions coming in from the United States because Gary Gensler is no longer the SEC, and we're going into the RLUSD being released. There's a hype behind that. There's a hype between a new SEC chairman, a hype between regulations inside the United States. There's a lot of hype of what's going to be happening inside the market space. And it's all brilliant news, excellent news, to be fairly honest, moving forward. But the reason why XRP had this certain downfall today, which wasn't drastic in any sort of a way, but it was a little bit down, it was because of South Korea. South Korea has always been the number one purchaser of XRP. And today, out of nowhere, they caused a major issue. Their markets were crashing. They halted their markets. Upbit exchange, the number one crypto exchange pretty much in South Korea, had to halt operations because they were showing discounted prices. So a lot of whales did essentially and were able to buy discounted XRP. And the XRP price that we're seeing on Binance Exchange in the West and Coinbase Exchange and Crypto.com Exchange, the price of XRP on our exchanges was not matching South Korea's exchange prices. They were showing discounted prices for XRP, discounted prices for Bitcoin, discounted prices for HBAR, discounted prices for a lot of crypto assets, which caused a lot of whales to start going to Upbit and using VPNs to pretend they're in essentially in South Korea to buy discounted crypto assets, which caused Upbit exchange to halt their operations to stop people from buying discounted crypto assets. But that is essentially the reasonings of XRP's price points slightly going down today. It's mostly because it affected XRP because they were the number one purchasing, essentially coming in. Number two, essentially, was United States. But yeah, South Korea is the reason of that. But also, this whole South Korean situation isn't going to last forever. It's going to essentially fix up, and we're going to move forward, and the price is going to go back to normal. And let's not forget, RLUSD is going to be released in a few days. There's hype behind that still as well. So yeah, don't worry about that whole South Korea situation. But a lot of people were able to buy discounted crypto assets from Upbit Exchange before they halted their operations. And also, just to put in perspective again, there was more money being flown into XRP before this whole Marshall situation in South Korea. There was more money coming into XRP from South Korea than the money that was entering South Korea's stock exchange for one particular asset that was just essentially their number one asset on the stock exchange, on the South Korean stock exchange. XRP was bringing in more volume than South Korea's number one stock in these past few days, just to put in perspective. So this whole situation in South Korea is the reasonings of why XRP had a slight dip today. But again, it's not going to be lasting forever anyways. It's just a few days and it'll go back to normal. And now moving off essentially off South Korea, but now you know why the markets dipped slightly for XRP, dipped slightly for HBAR and certain other crypto assets, because those were the ones that would be infected, while Bitcoin and everybody else did a little bit of green side. Now, moving off essentially South Korean news and martial law situation, which nobody genuinely saw coming out of nowhere, to Bitcoin news. And also, I did say if the market is going to be coming down, it's going to be due to geopolitical tensions. It turns out those geopolitical tensions within South Korea itself. Domestic geopolitical tensions was going on in South Korea, not international. But Bitcoin is what we're going to be talking about next. So Bitcoin advocates are hinting at a strict reserve laws in 10 US states. So due to Donald Trump announcing that he does want to make Bitcoin a reserve asset inside the United States, when he does come into power, January 20th onwards, 10 US states are already getting essentially ready for the idea of a Bitcoin reserve asset. So here it is. And this is a perspective from the Satoshi Act Fund founder, Dennis Porter. Now, Dennis Porter has been alongside Trump in essentially discussing matters of Bitcoin to Trump. So, Satoshi Act Fund founder Dennis Porter announced that several US states are preparing to propose legislations for sovereign Bitcoin reserves in an attempt to front-run President Donald Trump's Bitcoin promises. Porter has lobbied local policymakers to introduce legislations for Bitcoin stockpiles across 10 state jurisdictions. Porter also discussed the developments via X threads, highlighting the effects from his Satoshi Act Fund organization towards passing Bitcoin-focused laws. He said, I can now officially confirm and announce that 10 US states will introduce street Bitcoin reserves legislations here in the great United States of America. We are going to win with Bitcoin. We will lead the world. No one will come close. The world will follow our lead. And it is true. America is the biggest market space in the world. Whatever America does, the rest of the world will follow. I've been saying this for a while. Corporates do tend to follow each other inside the corporate sector when they see one company doing well. For example, MicroStrategy was the first company to incorporate Bitcoin into their operations, which made 8 other companies inside the corporate sector around the world follow their footsteps. It's just what happens inside the corporate sector. Money follows money, in other words. But America essentially doing this is basically on steroids. You know, every country now wants to follow America's footsteps and so on, except one country, Chile, which we're going to get into a little bit later on. But every other country around the world is trying to aim for the idea of becoming a crypto hub as well. Now, the public BTC supported also announced a joint discussion with Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis regarding her Bitcoin Act, suggesting that Porter has engaged federal lawmakers to position the U.S. as a Bitcoin leader. Luminous also proposal would transfer 207,000 Bitcoins seized by authorities to the Treasury Department. The senator also essentially pushed to convert U.S. gold certificates to finance BTC purchases and accumulate 1 million coins over 5 years of Bitcoin. The race is on. Let the game theory begin, Porter tweeted, referring to President Trump's plan to establish a Bitcoin stockpile from America's existing $19 billion of hoard. Nations, states, and governments are rushing to grab portions of Bitcoin's 21 million fixed supply following Trump's victory at the presidential polls. Within the U.S., Pennsylvania already passed a bill legalizing Bitcoin payments and crypto self-custody. The states also introduced a bill paving the way for its own Bitcoin reserves in November as well. Now, obviously, Pennsylvania is not the only one that's done this inside the United States. Texas is also very pro-Bitcoin and pro-Bitcoin mining. They've been introducing laws and discussing laws, what they can pass to make life easier for Bitcoin mining corporations to move over to Texas and stay there. But so that's what's going on essentially from Daniel Porter having discussions, from Dennis Porter having discussions with Donald Trump, him coming out and stating from the discussions he's had with lawmakers and President Trump that a Bitcoin reserve is happening. 10 US states are right now discussing matters of what laws they're going to be passing. So now moving off essentially the Bitcoin reserve and 10 US states, to BlackRock and Bitcoin. BlackRock has reached new heights in terms of their Bitcoin holdings. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF tops 500,000 Bitcoins holdings, worth now $48 billion. Before we go into that news, let's go inside the comment section. First, as I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, go for inside the comment section. I'd be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. Let's go inside the comment section, and then we go straight into BlackRock and Bitcoin. There's a lot more news to go through on tonight's live, and one extremely well, there's one particular Bitcoin news that we're going to go through on tonight's live that nobody's discussing, that could have implications on Bitcoin, bad implications on Bitcoins that no one's discussing, and it's not coming from, and it's not a rumored news or a, essentially a conspiracy theory. It's coming from, well, when we get to that news, I'll tell you. But before we go, the next news we are going to be discussing is regarding BlackRock and Bitcoin. But let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into BlackRock and Bitcoin. So we were at here. Good evening, Miles. How are you? I'm doing great, Callie. Good to see you. How you're doing? Good morning, Miles. Thank you for what you are doing. No problem, Michael. Anytime. Something wrong with YouTube? I don't think so. Hi, brother Camel. Good to see you. How you doing, brother? I had problems a few days ago. Today's working fine. Hello, Miles and family. Comatose. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles and family. Alex. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? That situation of South Korea smells as a hack. Yeah. There's a weird situation going on in South Korea, to be fairly honest. Nobody saw it coming. Not a single country saw it coming. XRP will melt faces soon. Sup, Miles and family. Davey, good to see you. How you doing? I agree with you 100%. XRP will be melting faces. Guaranteed. Ian, thank you so much for the £20 donation. Absolutely amazing, brother. That's going straight to start up the CMF hedge fund and fund the CMF hedge fund. To start, but absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for the £20 donation, brother. Let's go. Hi, Miles. How are you? Kirat, good to see you. How you doing? I think it is already began to do that, and I agree with you. Miles, can you please explain the LTV and if 90% is good number? It is. Davey, let's go. What about ACH? ACH will do movements after rules and regulations, not for a time. It might do some movements right now, but after rules and regulations, we'll have a better position, especially when ETH gets a better position. Hi, Panic. My balance is not showing on my Tangem wallet, and it says some networks are reachable. I've reinstalled the app, and it still doesn't work. Rachel, if your Tangem is not working properly, it's due to internet connections. Most cases, it's got nothing to do with the Tangem services. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing wrong with Tangem services. Rachel, I think it's just internet issues. And it's in uninstalling should have worked, but contact Tangem customer service and see what's going on there. I've checked. I checked my Tangem today. There was no issues with it. That's a bit odd. Is anybody else having problems with Tangem today? Anybody else that uses Tangem app is actually having any sort of problems? Put inside the comment section, yes or no, if you're having issues with Tangem. I want to see if it's just Rachel that's going through this situation, or is there a lot of people going through Tangem situations? You think to wait to become a Bitcoin holder, or do you think to wait? You think to wait to become a Bitcoin holder, or do you think to wait next bear? As in wait for the next bear market to go into Bitcoin. It's not really recommended to go for Bitcoin. Unless you have unlimited amount of funds stored, then I wouldn't recommend Bitcoin to anyone. Quantity is better than essentially going for Bitcoin. Because if you say, let's just say if you want to put 20,000 into Bitcoin, it's not, for me personally, I wouldn't suggest that at all. If anybody wants to put 20,000 to Bitcoin, I wouldn't suggest that to a million years. Actually today, one of my oldest friends contacted me and said, he wants to go into crypto. He wants to put 10,000 down. He was asking me, what should I go for? And I said, well, the first thing you should do is not go for Bitcoin. If you want to put 10,000 down, you're better off spreading that over into 3 or 4 assets. And going for XRP or XLM or XDC or HBOL would be your preferred choice of assets. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend Bitcoin to anyone unless you have unlimited funds. Otherwise, you're not going to make a profit. You'll make a lot more profit on $10,000 spread into XRP and XLM and XDC based on quantity wise, going long term, not overnight, than you would $10,000 in Bitcoin or $20,000 in Bitcoin or even $100,000 in Bitcoin. You'll make more money for $100,000 spread into the X's than you would on Bitcoin long term. One of the other members in the CMF as well can't see balance. That's a bit odd. I only installed it yesterday. You only installed Tangem yesterday. Have you made sure to is the correct Tangem app, because there are a couple of fake ones out there as well on Android, but I don't know if you're using Android. If you're using iOS, there's only one Tangem app. Shelly, thank you for letting me know regarding other members in the CMF. One of the members inside the CMF is having issues with Tangem as well. No problem on my Tangem. Tangem fine today. All good. Miles, so Ian's having no problems. Commuters is having no problems. Christopher's having no problems on Tangem. Just wondering if there's an app update or a phone update issue. Maybe it's an app update issue. Update the app. Me having problems with Tangem, calculating total balance. Thank you, Miles, for your help, Kirat. No problem anytime. Even I sent crypto assets in Tangem, no problem. So I think it's just a few people. So it might be an update issue then. Members from the CMF give me advice, but not luck. Now, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF tops 500,000 BTC holdings worth $48 billion. BlackRock's spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund ETF has surpassed 500,000 Bitcoins, which is quite ridiculous, in holdings as more investors seek exposure to the asset. The iShares Bitcoin Trust IBIT ETF, essentially for Bitcoin holdings, reached 530 and 380,000, worth around $48 billion at current market prices. According to BlackRock, the ETF allows investors to access Bitcoin with an exchange-traded product, ETP, and this is the best part. So another reason why a lot of people inside of Wall Street prefer to go through BlackRock to buy their Bitcoins, essentially buying a Bitcoin ETF instead of buying a Bitcoin, is because BlackRock offers this service to their investors. They offer removing operational tax and custody, essentially complicities of holding Bitcoin directly. That I would have known of. The only reason a lot of people prefer to go for an ETF, according to study test, is because they don't like the idea of bothering to learn about crypto assets and how to use them, how to store them, how to send them, how to receive them. They prefer to just go for an ETF as an easy option, just to be a part of the gains. But BlackRock is offering essentially removing the operational tax as one of the features to get more people coming into their Bitcoin ETFs, which high-profile investors love the idea of skipping on tax any sort of way. BlackRock's IBIT ETF has become the most actively traded spot Bitcoin ETF since its launch, now holding 2.38% of Bitcoin's total cap supply of 21 million tokens. Data from ETF tracker Soso Value also showed that apart from Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, all the other spot Bitcoin ETFs had positive, essentially, inflows as well as since of December 2nd. Data from ETF tracker Soso Value reveals consistent inflows across spot Bitcoin ETFs, excluding the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Collectively, Bitcoin held by the ETFs is nearing the 1.1 million Bitcoins attributed to the cryptocurrency. The IBIT ETF's Bitcoin holdings now exceed those of MicroStrategy, the largest corporate Bitcoin holder. Bitcoin's treasuries, the data shows that MicroStrategy remains the largest corporate Bitcoin holder. However, since December 2 filings, MicroStrategy revealed that the company had sold 3.7 million shares of its Class A common stocks and used almost $1.5 billion on proceeds to purchase 15,400 more Bitcoins. This follows a previous $5.4 billion Bitcoin purchase as well, which brings this total around to 402,000 Bitcoins. Apart from MicroStrategy's crypto miner Mara Holdings also recently added Bitcoin to its holdings. In their filing, the company said it had purchased 6,484 Bitcoins. Between October 1st and November 30th, the firm bought coins for around $618.3 million at an average price of $95,352 per coin. Bitcoin Treasuries data shows that Mara Holdings is the second largest corporate Bitcoin holder with 34,794 Bitcoins, which just shows you that, essentially corporations don't care about cheap discounts, because, the stigma inside the crypto sector for the longest time has been essentially that, corporates love the idea of discounts when it comes to crypto assets, and they want to see, Bitcoin going plummeting into the ground for them to buy it. But then you have corporations buying Bitcoin at $95,000 per token because they have a lot of money, what I've been saying for the longest time, that corporations aren't really looking for discounts when it comes to crypto assets. If they see potential, they're going to buy no matter what the price is, because they're seeing 5-year projections, 10-year projections, and so on, not monthly projections or daily projections to make quick profits. Now, moving on essentially from BlackRock doing new records once again to Coinbase. Coinbase has decided to take a stand on essentially crypto ties with law firms over SEC hiring scandals. Coinbase has decided to go against any law firm or hire any law firm that is hiring SEC former employees. Coinbase is taking a stand and saying that we want to take a stand against any law firm that is hiring SEC former employees, because all SEC former employees have been entangled into stifling the crypto space, even if they essentially didn't do anything, but they were still part of an operation by Gary Gensler that was stifling essentially crypto operations, which I think is good up to a certain extent, to be fairly honest. It's also something that people should be doing inside the crypto space, going against crypto influencers that essentially hated you for holding XRP, but now all of a sudden they're all pro XRP, especially ones that were telling people to sell their XRPs. There's a lot of crypto influencers that I'm not going to be naming any sort of a way, but there was a lot of crypto influencers that hated on people holding XRP. They told their followers to sell their XRP. They made fun of their essentially followers for holding XRP. They said, you're stupid for holding XRP. You should sell your XRP and so on. And then it turns out the crypto influencers that were telling their followers to sell their XRP were actually holding XRP. Now they're making videos on X and saying, I made a profit on XRP, but they were telling people to sell their XRPs. So I like the idea of taking stand against scum, basically. But the people that have also apologized to the XRP space, I get that. I fairly understand that. You're man enough to say, I was wrong, and now I'm doing this. But for the other people that are just showing their heads and going, I made a profit on XRP, but they were telling their followers for 2 years, 3 years to sell their XRP. There was one particular crypto influencer that was saying XRP is going to zero. There was one particular crypto influencer that kept on making videos and saying XRP is going to zero. Now he's posting videos on X going, I made $2 million profits on XRP. So why did you tell your followers for 4 years to sell their XRP because they're stupid for holding it? And now you're posting videos saying, I made a profit on XRP. Some people are just two-faced, But I understand why Coinbase is taking a bold stand, honestly, because they need to. Somebody needs to stand in front of these people and say, you're a hypocrite. Because where were you before? So in a bold move, Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, has essentially served ties with law firms that recruit essentially former U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission SEC officials known for their hammer-fisted enforcement activities against the cryptocurrency industry. It makes sense. Why would you hire a law firm that has former SEC employees that were going against your company before? Armstrong essentially has accused those officials of trying to undermine the industry without setting clear regulatory guidelines, and now they're trying to become pro-crypto for working for law firms. Before they were suing Coinbase through SEC, those particular lawyers, and now they're working in law firms thinking they're going to get hired by Coinbase. On Monday, essentially, Brian Armstrong posted the company's position to X. We've notified all legal clients that if they've chosen to hire lawyers who played a role in the prior administration destructive acts against crypto, their law firm is done with Coinbase. We are not hiring you anymore. Armstrong also named Milbank, a New York-based law firm that recently brought on many former SEC essentially enforcement officers and over a number of regulatory actions against crypto firms during his time, including legal actions against Coinbase and Binance. One particular New York law firm is hiring former SEC members, but also they hired one particular member from the SEC that was suing Coinbase. And Coinbase is saying, why the hell would we hire your law firm? Because one of your own employees that work for the SEC was suing us about a week ago. Milbank recently essentially adored by hiring one particular member from the SEC. That's not going to happen. And so we won't be going to work with them now or in the future as long as that's going on, Brian Armstrong said. During his tenure, that particular SEC member, during his tenure, the SEC brought more than 100 enforcement actions against members of the crypto industry, a decision the agency said was needed to keep the investors safe, which is complete BS coming from the SEC. Brian Armstrong, though, labeled these measures as excessive and unethical, while pointing out the lack of clear rules from the industry, from the SEC. Trying to destruct an entire industry without proper regulations is unethical, Brian Armstrong said. He said the senior SEC official that is now working for a New York law firm and is trying to get hired by Coinbase is a stupid idea. Why would we hire this man when he was trying to sue us from the SEC? Many good people resigned from the SEC rather than take these actions. Those who stuck around cannot say they were just following orders, which is true. A lot of lawyers left the SEC because the SEC was getting strict on the corporate sector, and Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of essentially Coinbase, has respected. He said, he came out and he said, I respect every SEC lawyer that left the SEC when Gary Gensler was putting pressure on the crypto space. But he said, I have no sympathy for anybody that stayed with the SEC and continued suing the crypto space and is now looking to get hired by us for law firms. Forget about it. Brian Armstrong also took the opportunity to address the wider cryptocurrency landscape, calling on companies to rethink their ties to law firms that employed people who he claims were involved in what termed and harmful regulatory essentially campaigns against the crypto space. Coinbase is telling other essentially crypto companies to stop working with law firms that are hiring former SEC employees that were suing them previously, which I agree with 100%. Also, let your legal, this is what he said, also let your legal partners know that hiring those folks will cost them your business, Brian Armstrong said. And he advised the law firms. It's a part of a wider frustration within the crypto community, which has long essentially, and what it seems as inconsistent and heavy-handed enforcements by the SEC. They come as the SEC gears up for major leadership turnovers. Chairman Gary Gensler, one of the major prominents of the tough crypto regulations, will obviously depart his position on January 20th, on the same day that Donald Trump is taking his seat. The SEC Commissioner Jamie Ligzor also revealed his plans to step down on January 17th, 2025, due to personal reasons. These departures create the opportunity for incoming administration to transfer the agency and maybe with it, not so balanced approach towards regulating crypto assets. Breaking ties with firms like Milbank makes a bold statement that crypto space will not shy away from demanding accountability from legal and regulatory institutions. Brian Armstrong's choice highlights the rising friction between the industry and the regulatory bodies, which many in the crypto industry feel like it was created as an enforcement landscape that is both unfair and ambiguous. The developments at the SEC could signal a shift in the future for how regulators essentially engage with crypto industries. Until then, Brian Armstrong moves a signal and increasing resolve within the industry to demand more fairness and transparency in its dealings with legal partners and regulators alike. I 100% understand what Brian Armstrong is talking about, because the members that these law firms are hiring from the SEC are now running away from the SEC because Gary Gensler is resigning January 20th. All of these people were suing Coinbase beforehand, and now they're working in law firms, and these law firms want to work with Coinbase, and Coinbase is saying, no, the people that you are hiring were suing us last week. How did you expect us to hire you if you got employees that were trying to sue us last week? Coinbase said, look, I don't have I'm not going against the entire, essentially, SEC. Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, said a lot of people left the SEC when Gary Gensler was being tough with the crypto space. And he said, I respect every single SEC member that left the SEC when Gary Gensler started going mental and suing every crypto company. But the ones that stayed alongside Gary Gensler and continued suing the crypto space and are now looking and getting hired by law firms, forget about it. We're not going to be working with law firms that were hiring people that were suing us last week, which 1,000,000% understand. And the same theory can also be applied to the crypto space. I'm seeing a lot of hypocrites inside the crypto space from influencers that was telling their followers to sell their XRP. They're stupid for holding XRP. That XRP is going to go to nowhere. That XRP is a meme coin. That XRP is a stable coin. And those same influencers that told their followers to sell their XRP, and let's just be honest, their followers were regular people, 9-to-5 jobs, trying to make a difference in their life. And their crypto influencers were telling them, sell your XRP, you're stupid for holding it. And then now time has passed. For 2-3 years, they've been bashing on XRP. And then essentially the past few days, they're coming out and going, oh, well, I made a lot of money on XRP. The same influencers that were telling their regular, essentially, followers to sell their XRP are now creating videos and saying, I'm making profit on XRP. But for the past 3 years, you've been telling your entire following base to sell their XRP. They're stupid for holding, and it's going to go to zero. So there's a lot of hypocrites inside the crypto sector as well that I don't think people inside the XRP space should just overlook, because let's just be honest with ourselves. These types of people will pull this S again. They will pull this movement again. I guarantee you, the moment XRP drops in price just a little bit, the same hypocrites that are now pro XRP will do a 360 and go, oh, I knew XRP was going to zero. These same hypocrites that are just keep on changing their minds. So I genuinely do think that what Coinbase is doing, what Brian Armstrong is doing, taking a stand against hypocrites, I think the crypto space should take a stand against hypocrites as well. Because for how long are we going to let crypto influencers, lie to people and think it's okay for them to get away with it? They were telling their followers they're stupid for holding XRP. Now the same people, the same influencers are telling, the crypto space, oh, I made money on XRP. But for 4 years, they were telling their followers XRP is going to go to zero. You shouldn't buy it. You're stupid for buying it. It's never going to move. It's a meme coin. It's a stable coin. But now they're pro XRP. And everybody's supposed to buy that and pretend the last 4 years never happened. So I agree 100% with Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, for taking a stand against hypocrites inside the crypto space. And I think the crypto space, in the XRP space especially, should take a stance against the hypocrites inside the XRP space. And I saw that happening with one particular crypto influencer today as well. I'm not going to be mentioning what his name is, but it's something Moon. I think everybody's heard of him. It's called something Moon. This particular influencer was posting today that he's made $1 million or $2 million on XRP trades, and he was the same guy that made videos and said XRP is going to zero. And a lot of people inside the comment section on his post on X were putting tweets out and saying that you're a liar, you're a hypocrite, where were you 4 years ago, why did you tell people XRP is going to zero, and so on. So I respect every single person that put a comment like that under that man's video, because he deserves it. For 4 years he told everybody XRP is going to zero. Today he posts, I made a profit on XRP. So I respect every single person that put a comment under that man's video and said, you're a hypocrite. Where were you 4 years ago? 100%. What Brian Armstrong is doing is basically a movement inside the crypto space that we do not stand for hypocrites, that all of a sudden change sides, and we're all supposed to pretend that the last 4 years never happened. So I respect everybody that admits they were wrong. They come out and say, I was wrong. You know, I made a mistake. Now I understand the bigger picture. But for the ones that are not apologizing, just coming out and going, I made money on XRP, but for 4 years you've been telling your followers, your regular 9-to-5 followers, to sell their XRP is going to zero. I have zero respect for you. The ones that apologize and say, I was wrong, fair enough. You're man enough to admit you're wrong. But the ones that haven't apologized, just coming out and going, I made a profit on XRP, but your entire follower base that were trying to make a difference in their life sold their XRP because of your advice 4 years ago, or the continuing 4 years. Which I agree. I'm just saying, I feel like everyone's going to agree with me on this matter as well. If you agree with what I've just said, put yes inside the comment section regarding we shouldn't just forget about the hypocrites inside the crypto space, especially the hypocrites against XRP that were telling their followers XRP is going to go to zero for 4 years. Now all of a sudden coming down and going, I made a profit on XRP. I don't think we should stand with hypocrites. Honestly. And the next news we're going to talk about, ironically, is regarding the SEC. Paul Atkins is kind of the chosen person. Because honestly, if we let these things go, these people will repeat the same thing they did now. These influencers repeat it again and again and again. I just know it. These types of people don't change. The moment XRP does a little bit of a down, goes down 7% or 10%, those same people that are overnight pro XRP after 4 years will be negative XRP straight away the moment XRP goes down 10% again. I know how these types of people are. They're complete hypocrites. And we shouldn't just overlook these types of matters. Because the people that are entering the crypto space for the first time ever, they should understand who is with them and who is just there to make money from them. There are influencers inside the crypto space who are there to make money from their followers, and there are influencers inside the crypto space that are there to help the people and ask for nothing in return. And we should make it very clear to people who enter the crypto space or who remain inside the crypto space that which side is better to be on. So what do you mean that there are scam Tangier maps? How do I know? Rachel, direct message me after the live. I'll try to, I'll help you out on your Tangier mission, no problem. Coinbase are 100% right. I agree. Kai, 100%. Even the Miles and CMF peeps, Semper, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, read Ono's message above. Another suggestion, please. Ono's message above. What was it? I can't even go inside the customer support. When I press that option, it won't direct me anywhere. It's not working. Okay. Ono, message me as well, and I'll take a look at it. Orphan, message me as well. I'll take a look at it. And Rachel, message me as well. I'll take a look at your Tangier mission as well. No problem. After live, I'll take a look at it. Mouse, thank you, Shelly, for that. I'd hate to think how many people have sold their XRP because of these influencers. It's wrong. If you don't agree, fair enough. But don't tell people to sell. It's frustrating to watch. Especially when it's common knowledge, they still hold it themselves. I agree 100% with Shelly. 100%. Hello, Miles and CMF. Carol, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Exactly, Miles. People like that are making people miss out on a fortune. Facts. Let's go, Stormy. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. And they are still telling people to sell while it's up now. Let's go, XRP family. Abundance. Let's go. How you doing? Semper, yes, agrees. Expertise matters. Let's go, Susie. Comatose says yes. Alex says yes. Carrie says yes. Freedom Forever says yes. I don't care what they think, but stop telling people to sell. This is affecting the 9 to 5 people's futures. Makes me so mad. I agree. Alex says C. Ian says yes. Carol says, I know what I hold. No one FUD me out of XRP. Facts. Let's go, Carol. Yo, Miles. Knox, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, you're right. They are not just hypocrites, but they are also scammers. I agree 100% as well. Give me the bastards' names. People know who those influencers are. Yep, let's go. Joe. They are just wanting their followers to buy the next meme coin so they can rock pull. I agree 100% that one as well. Bring in proper licensings for influencers now. I agree as well. I will report into KFC and TikTok. All facts. Greetings, Miles and family. Ray, good to see you. How you doing? Even Miles and CMF. Pierce, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, do you know much about the stablecoin Ripple are wanting to approve on Thursday? Yes. RLUSD is supposed to be approved December 4th. New York is going to be the first one to essentially approve this stablecoin. New York did also attend the Ripple Swell event in Miami when Brad was there as well. They had discussions on the matters of essentially stablecoin and regulations and the RLUSD token. And it's supposed to be on December 4th, but it could be pushed a little bit, but it is going to be this month in general. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. It makes my blood boil seeing these people now. Absolutely. Do you know why XYO did that crazy pump? Any news? No news on XYO why it did that crazy pump, but I did see it. The moon show all you hear in his show press the link below and sign up because he gets commission. Yeah, I agree 100% as well regarding what Chosen said. Now, Paul Atkins apparently is the chosen man from the SEC from Trump's side to become the SEC essentially chairman. News outlets have offered different reports as to whether Paul Atkins, a former member of the United States Securities Exchange Commission (SEC) under President George W. Bush, could be Donald Trump's pick to lead the regulator starting 2025. Apparently, Paul Atkins is the chosen man, but it's not confirmed yet. But now a crypto betting website is betting that Paul Atkins is the chosen man. 93% of the bets are showing that it is Paul Atkins. And they're suggesting that Trump could nominate Paul Atkins, the former SEC commissioner, after his scheduled essentially sit-in January 20th. The odds have dropped to under essentially 90%, but essentially Kowski still places Atkins' chances of leading the regulatory agency far above other candidates, including former acting essentially and currency Brian Brooks and former SEC attorney Teresa Goody Gillian. And Politico also reported essentially that Trump's team invited Atkins to interview with the president-elect. Following the meeting, news outlets cited unnamed sources have suggested that Trump selected Atkins to his SEC chairman pick, or the former commissioner was reluctant to accept the job. At the time of publication, Trump had not officially named any pick for the SEC chairman on Truth Socials, his preferred platform for announcing members of his upcoming administration. If chosen by Trump, Atkins would still need to be formally nominated in January and confirmed by the U.S. Senate, where Republicans would have a slim, essentially, majority. Even with essentially the odds in his favor, Paul Atkins favors, it's possible that Trump could select someone other than Atkins, Brooks, or Gillian to head the SEC. The president-elect completely bypassed people on his shortlist for his U.S. Attorney General when he picked Matt essentially in November, though the Florida congressman later withdrew his name from consideration as well. Replacing SEC Chairman Gary Gensler with one of his own picks was one of Trump's essentially promises to the crypto industry during his presidential campaign. Gensler also announced in November that he would step down on January 20th, the day of Trump's scheduled essentially sit-down. The SEC has significant authority to influence policy affecting digital assets, including whether the regulator will bring enforcement cases against the firms and unregistered security assets. Many inside the crypto industry have called the SEC to provide clear rules for the rule, warning essentially inconsistent regulatory approaches could drive companies out of the country, which has pretty much happened. But because of Trump, a lot of companies are coming back inside the United States. So Paul Atkins apparently could be the chosen person. Now the news on X is telling people that it is going to be essentially Paul Atkins, but it's not confirmed. Now, one man who has been very accurate on essentially saying who is who and what project is going to be approved next is Eric. Now, Eric is obviously a Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst, and Bloomberg is like gospel for the entire Wall Street. Eric has came forward and said that it is not confirmed yet from anyone from his sources that it is going to be Paul Atkins, but his name is obviously on the list. Now, moving away from who's the next SEC chairman to this. This is something that nobody's talking about inside the crypto space that could have implications on Bitcoin, bad implications on Bitcoin. And it isn't from, a rumor or a conspiracy theory, but it's coming from bitcoin.org. Now, if you never heard of it, bitcoin.org is pretty much the number one Bitcoin website you can pretty much go to. It's essentially the platform that started the idea of teaching people about Bitcoin. And the renowned developers of bitcoin.org have revealed that there's something coming towards Bitcoin that a lot of people are not aware of. And why is nobody talking about it? Well, on the CMF Live, we're going to talk about it. So here it is. Cobra, the anonymous owner of the bitcoin.org domain, has issued a warning about the potential user-activated soft fork UASF for Bitcoin scheduled 2025. There is a soft fork scheduled, user soft fork scheduled for 2025. He hasn't said which month, but he said something is coming towards Bitcoin and is scheduled for 2025. And this is what is the initiative, reportedly developed by anonymous developers outside the Bitcoin core team, aims to bring the controversial check template verify CTV functionalities to the Bitcoin network. Based on the BIP119 proposal, CTV is designed to allow users to set specific spending conditions on their wallets. Prominents argue that CTV could have significantly, essentially, increased cold wallet security by enabling profound transaction rules, making it a potentially powerful tool for institutions and high net worth Bitcoin holders. Volatility risks can appear due to this update that's coming on the Bitcoin chain. Some believe that the CTV could undermine the fungibility of Bitcoin by creating distinctions between different types of Bitcoin based on spending conditions. Bitcoin and spending conditions is something that's going to be happening in 2025. Now, Bitcoin is obviously known as the freedom token of do whatever you want and get away with it. But apparently, a scheduled update, a soft fork user update is coming on Bitcoin in 2025. And if implemented, it's going to have multiple conditions on Bitcoin, one of them including spending conditions. Code complexity issues. Others argue that adding CTV would also increase the complexities of Bitcoin's code base, raising concerns about the untamed security vulnerabilities. Cobra warned in a public statement that the soft fork attempt could catch many Bitcoin users and developers off guard. Some Bitcoiners will attempt to soft fork CTV via UASF in 2025. Developers of non-core or currently working on the code and activation parameters, not enough people are paying attention to this scenario. So, you heard it here first. Bitcoin spending limits 2025 soft fork update is a possibility of happening. And he's saying that not enough people are talking about it. And this is that something is going to be happening. And that a lot of developers might also essentially unknowingly add this, because it is a user essentially. So it is a user activated soft fork, which causes issues. So Bitcoin, known as the freedom token, the do whatever you want token, nobody controls token, nobody knows who the creator is going to be getting some sort of an update in 2025 where it's going to be having spending conditions, which could have implications on Bitcoin users and security issues on Bitcoin in 2025. Now, moving away from the warning that has just came from bitcoin.org to Chile. Chile is the first country to reject the idea of a Bitcoin in reserves, citing volatility and regulatory concerns. Interesting enough, the same time bitcoin.org came out with that information, Chile, same timing pretty much, came up with this. The United States recently proposed the creation of a national Bitcoin reserve, sparking global discussions on the role of cryptocurrencies in national economies. However, the Central Bank of Chile has explicitly rejected the idea of including Bitcoin in its international reserves, emphasizing the risk associated with the high volatility and unregulated cryptocurrencies. This stance was reinforced in the wake of the US Senator Cynthia Lumini's proposal to establish Bitcoin reserves, which was aligned with the statements by President Donald Trump, who advocated for Bitcoin reserve during his campaign. The Central Bank of Chile addressed these developments and clarified its position on the matter. The Central Bank of Chile stated that it would not incorporate Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for the time being into its international reserves, citing that a failure to meet their necessary legal criteria for such investments. The bank highlighted essentially that cryptocurrencies do not align with the requirements for reserve assets, which are primarily backed by more stable and regulated entities like gold or government-issued securities. They also stated, the proposals from the US and Brazil reflect how cryptocurrencies are entering economic agendas of key countries. However, these initiatives also raise questions about the associated risk, especially due to the high volatility and high, essentially, lack of regulations of crypto assets. This interest has met the value of Bitcoin closed at its all-time November. The financial asset ended November at $96,455, explained the Central Bank of Chile. In terms of financial management, the Central Bank of Chile pointed out that the primary purpose of international reserves to support the country's economic stability against external financial shocks. This objective requires that assets held on reserves adhere to stringent standards of safety, liquidity, and overall qualify conforming to International Monetary Fund (IMF) guidelines. The international reserves are intended to maintain economic and financial stability in the face of adverse external shocks and to conduct exchange rate policies. Therefore, they must meet high security, liquidity, and quality criteria according to the International Monetary Fund definition to guarantee central banks their abilities with limited impact on the market and access to cases that they need to be used for periods of crisis scenarios. The bank further elaborated that Bitcoin's high volatility and regulatory uncertainties make it unsustainable for reserve purposes. It added that international reserves must be readily essentially available in terms of economic crisis with minimal impact on the market criteria that Bitcoin does not fulfill. Chile is pretty much the first one to go against the whole idea of Bitcoin reserves. Interesting, the same time as Bitcoin.org comes up with that information of what's going to be happening to Bitcoin in 2025. But yeah, Chile is the first one to reject the Bitcoin reserve idea. Now, other countries, I'm not saying every country is going for a Bitcoin reserve right now. There are a few that have made announcements they're going to go towards it, but they're the first ones to come out publicly and reject it. There's a lot of countries that are still silent. There's a lot of countries around the world, their governments are still silent on the whole idea of a Bitcoin reserve. They haven't said yes, they haven't said no. But we have had a lot of countries say yes, and now one country is saying no. And regarding the International Monetary Fund, the International Monetary Fund is, has always been against, to be fair, against Bitcoin for the longest time. The International Monetary Fund pleaded with El Salvador not to go forward with the idea of a Bitcoin reserve. They pleaded against many of the Latin American countries to not go against essentially Bitcoin reserves as well. But yep, they're very happy that Chile's not going towards it. Not saying it's a good idea in any sort of a way. Obviously Chile's currency is not doing too well. Alternative currency might be a better option for Chile. Cryptocurrencies could be the one that saves Chile and saves the people in Chile as well, to be fairly honest. But if they don't want to go for Bitcoin, they should create rules and regulations and go for other assets instead, at least, because their people need it, to be fairly honest. Chile's not doing too well at all in any sort of a way, so they need help. Now, moving away from Chile, and the first country to reject the idea of a Bitcoin reserve for the time being is Raoul Paul. Obviously, Raoul Paul is one member that was against XRP, but has apologized to the community, and which I respect. As I said, I respect anybody that comes out and apologizes, but not the ones that just pretend that they never happened. Raoul Paul highlights individual financial empowerments through crypto exchanges, which is what we're going to be talking about next. But before we go through that, let's go to the comment section. And then we go straight into the Raoul Paul news regarding people and data reports on crypto assets. So, as I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. Be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Let's see where we were at. We were at here. Hi, Miles and CMF. How are you? Bill, good to see you. How are you doing? Did I miss any XRP news? One at the beginning, but we have two more at the end as well. I'll tell you when we get to the last one about the first one as well. Hi from Malaysia, Sharika, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? CBDC, Bitcoin, pretty much. Can IMF told Chile not to consider Bitcoin? It's possibilities. All the International Monetary Fund did tell essentially Chile not to accept it because the International Monetary Fund has been against Bitcoin reserves for a very longest time. How will Bitcoin spending limits affect the price? Should it go up or down? Well, when it gets implemented, it's user spending limits. So nobody can put a spending limit on your wallet. You can only put a spending limit on your own wallet. But if your wallet gets compromised, then that means somebody else can put spending limits on your Bitcoin wallet. It's a very complicated situation that shouldn't really be happening on the Bitcoin, essentially on the Bitcoin chain. But it is something that could be implemented in 2025 is what's going headed towards it. Who cares about Chile? Let them stay poor. The reason why I mentioned the Chile news is because one, it's the first country, and two, I would like to see the people of Chile not staying poor. That's the reason why I mentioned it. Chill zone, have some respect for other people as well. Raoul Paul highlights former Goldman Sachs executive. Raoul Paul noted that cryptocurrency exchanges and other financial institutions empower individuals to take control of their finances. Raoul Paul engaged with his followers on social media platform X, asking whether their investment portfolios have outperformed the S&P 500 this year. I can guarantee it pretty much that a lot of people inside the crypto space have done much more better than the S&P 500 on their crypto portfolios. According to a survey results from nearly 11,000 respondents, 80.7% of participants reported that their portfolios exceeded the S&P 500 performance. Crypto portfolios, individual crypto portfolios, have been exceeding the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has seen a 27.5% increase since the beginning of the year. Raoul Paul indicated that the ability of individual investors to surpass the S&P 500 serves as a testament to how everyday investors are sharing their insights to outsmart market experts. Raoul Paul also stated the freedom to invest and trade through mass engagements will significantly surpass traditional financial gatekeepers and the 401k industrial complex that has the remarkable developments going on. The 80% success rate here shows that the most asset managers have failed to achieve gains above the S&P 500, while individual members inside the crypto sector have. Paul emphasized the crucial role of exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken, as well as product issuers like Van Eck and Bitwise in this power shift. Real Vision CEO Paul identified SUI token, for example, as a competitor to Solana, as potentially the next big thing inside the crypto world. SUI was trading at $3.36, having decreased by over 1% in the time of writing. These findings are viewed as significant indicators of how cryptocurrencies and related platforms are affecting individuals and their financial performance. The growing success of individuals inside the crypto markets highlights the importance of shared knowledge and as the alternatives to traditional financial tools. In conclusion, cryptocurrencies, exchanges, and innovations in this field enable individuals to enhance their financial success. Investors are able to make more informed and effective essentially investments through these platforms. So, Raoul Paul essentially coming out, doing a study report, former Goldman Sachs essentially employee, coming out doing a report inside the crypto sector to see are crypto traders making more money than experts inside of Wall Street? Yes or no? Turns out yes. The S&P 500 has only done 27% gains since the beginning of the year until now, whereas crypto influencers, ridiculous gains. 80% of crypto influencers, sorry, not crypto influencers, 80% of crypto traders and investors are making more money than the S&P 500. Just these past few days, XRP holders made more money than the S&P 500. Just for perspective. Now, Russia is what we're going to talk about next. Geopolitical tensions are factors that can bring the market down. Geopolitical tensions, domestic or international, in this instance with the whole South Korea situation is domestic, but geopolitical tensions, international, domestic, can bring the market down, the crypto markets down. Also, what can bring the markets down is an economic crisis bubble type of situation like 2008, like the real estate situation. And a few countries right now are going through or towards a bubble. China is going towards a bubble, which they admitted yesterday to. France is going towards a real estate bubble. Germany is going towards an automotive bubble. And Russia, the new numbers are in. Russia's also going towards an economic bubble. Because apparently Russia didn't release too much data, and they kept on saying their economy is doing actually quite well. And since they've left the whole US dollars, but they're still using it, they're doing 10 times better, and they're never going back, and so on. But it seems like the Ukraine war is putting a little bit of pressure on them in terms of their economic situation, not losing land. As the war in Ukraine continues, the economic consequences for Russia are beginning to be essentially felt more. Initially noted for its resilience in the face of one of the most severe sanctions regimes in modern history, the Russian economy today shows clear signs of slowing down. Inflation is accompanied by a sharp rise in interest rates. Meanwhile, the essentially Russian ruble, which is consistently falling against the Chinese yuan, reflects a growing dependency on China, Moscow's main trading partner. That's true. Nobody is really working as much as China is with Russia, but the issue is China is going to be slowing down that progress with Russia as well the moment Trump comes into power January 20th, because China doesn't want to get sanctioned by America or by Donald Trump, because then China's economy is also going to go sliding downwards. China was going to boost their economy with 1.5 essentially trillion dollars on roughly about that amount. China was going to boost their economy with 1.5 trillion dollars to keep moving forward. Yesterday, China pulled the plug on the whole $1.5 trillion. And their reasoning was because Donald Trump is going to come to power January 20th, and that China might go under sanctions for certain things they've done, or the tariff situation might put pressure on their country. So they're going to keep their $1.5 trillion for future crisis situations. But they're still heading towards a bubble. They're going to be heading towards a bit more faster now, because they were supposed to pump their market so they could stay alive for who knows how many more years. But they pulled the plug on the whole entire project to pump their markets. So they're going to let their markets just sail their way, maybe sliding downwards, while Trump goes in power, and see the whole tariff situation play out for them. Since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, Russia has significantly increased its military spendings, accounting for 40% of its total budget for defense and security. This figure, which represents 8% of the GDP, and not been reached since the Cold War. This is an unprecedented financial effort in the country's recent history. In 2024, this spending is expected to grow by 25%, totaling 17 trillion rubles, about $170 billion. The Ukraine war is, Ukraine is never going to be able to take over Russia. That's never going to happen. Ukraine is not even in their dreams is going to be able to take over Russia. But what this war is doing is putting pressure on money-wise, economically-wise, on Russia. And that's what basically is just doing. In 2024, right, regarding spendings, this massive essentially allocation reflects the Kremlin's determination to maintain its military efforts. Despite the heavy pressures extorted on this nation's economy, to support this spending, the Russian central bank has been forced to raise its key interest rates to 21%. Russia's raising their interest rates to 21% to keep up with their military spendings. The level in 2 decades. While this policy aims to contain runaway inflation, is currently estimated at 8%, it has direct repercussions on the population and businesses. Households see their purchasing power erode, while businesses face major high borrowing costs in Russia. In July, the removal of subsidies on mortgages, while until then allowed borrowing at 8%, led to halving of new loans. Thus, this situation has plunged the real estate market in Russia into a brutal slowdown. Meanwhile, corporate bankruptcies have surged by 20% this year, a clear signal of the weakening of the Russian economic fabric. The situation imposes unprecedented economic sacrifices, illustrating the growing tensions of a model under pressure. This depreciation of the Russian ruble against the yuan, down 10% this year, illustrates Russia's increasing isolation on the international economic stage. This situation also reflects the growing dependency on China, which now plays a central role in Russia's foreign trade. Beijing supplies more than 90% of the microelectronics used in Russia's weapons, including drones, missiles, and tanks. Although this collaboration is very costly for Russia, as it subjects Moscow to conditions imposed by its Asian partners, this state of affairs exacerbates external economic imbalances. Moreover, it complicates the Kremlin's monetary and budgetary managements. Domestically, all the economic situation continues to deteriorate. The International Monetary Fund anticipates limited growth of 1.3% for Russia in 2024, compared to 3.6% in 2023. The economic slowdown is directly related to raising borrowing costs, which is hindering investments, as well as a loss of skilled labor mobilized en masses on the front. Furthermore, the priority given to military spending diverts essential resources from other economic sectors. This further essentially exposes the Kremlin to major financial challenges with an overheated economy and an increasingly limited military funding prospects. In the absence of strict adjustments, these tensions could essentially permanently empower the Russia's ability to sustain a prolonged war effort. The Russian economy faces growing challenges caught between intensive war efforts and the growing dependency on its external partners. This fragility of the ruble and its persistent inflation could force the Kremlin to release its economic priorities. While Moscow hopes for a favorable geopolitical change, particularly with Donald Trump's potential return, this streak remains uncertain. The ability of Russia to sustainably bear the cost of this war remains an open question, with potentially decisive implications for its economic and political futures. Under the Biden administration, a lot of things were happening, obviously. A lot of dodgy behavior was happening on the Biden administration, and because they're all crooks. Everybody inside the Biden administration are all crooks. There's no doubt about it, in my perspective. And they put Russia, because Russia was getting a little bit too powerful and too strong, so they decided to start a war with Ukraine. Starting a war with Ukraine put pressure economically on Russia, because Russia needed electronics for missiles, for tanks, and for any other war essential equipments. Where does Russia get its computer chips from for its missiles or tanks or any other electronics? They get it from China. So China is obviously profiting from the Russian and Ukraine war heavily, because it's putting a lot of pressure on Russia. Russia decided to, regarding mortgages, for example, to take away certain benefits when it comes to mortgaging properties in Russia, because Russia needs that money for the army in terms of paying China off for weaponry equipments to, create their own weapons alongside them. So this war with Ukraine has put a lot of pressure on Russia economically. Now, there's no hope in hell of Ukraine ever, taking over Russia. As I said, that's never going to happen. But this war is putting economical crisis situations on Russia. So if Russia's economy goes downwards, that's obviously going to be impacting the market space. It's going to impact the stock market and the crypto market, because that's massive, essentially, economic crisis situation. Now, if Russia essentially goes downhill, China is selling quite a lot to Russia right now, which means that Russia won't be able to afford to buy anything, what they're buying right now from China, which means China will go through an economic crisis situation. It's like a domino effect. If Russia goes down, China slowly goes down with it, because China most likely will get tariff situations on it. If China doesn't get sanctioned, they will get tariffed. Chinese banks for the longest time have been saying that they don't want to work with Russian businesses. A lot of massive Chinese banks actually came forward and said, we don't want to work with Russian businesses or the Russian government because we might get sanctioned as a bank by the United States of America, and we don't want to get sanctioned. So if Russia goes down into an economic crisis, then China will go down with it eventually, which will lead to a massive bubble crisis, which will then lead to the EU going downhill as well, which will then essentially lead to a few other countries following their suit, and which will become a massive global crisis situation of everybody going sliding downhill. Just like a domino effect. Obviously, the Ukraine situation as well. Ukraine has a lot of gas. So instead of essentially oil and gas companies going to Ukraine and doing business deals, essentially sitting down with Ukraine and with essentially oil, and so, because there's a lot of reasons why this war started. This war created a bigger gap inside the Western countries between the middle class and the lower, between the upper class and the middle class. Created a bigger gap where the middle class is starting to become the lower middle class, and some of them joined the lower class because gas prices went up, electrics went up, fuel prices went up, groceries went up, everything went up, and they all blamed on the Russia situation. So that was one effect from the Russian war. And then the other fact essentially from the Russian war was, and the other positive from the Russian war for oil and gas companies was, Ukraine has an immense amount of gas. So when this was, instead of the gas companies going to Ukraine and doing a business deal with Ukraine and having a sit down, they start a war. Ukraine becomes a war zone. When this war is over, Ukraine needs to be built again. So the gas companies can go to Ukraine and say, look, we'll help you build your country, but we need to take some gas from you. There's a lot of reasons why this war started. The other reason is we could create a domino effect. If Russia goes down, China starts sliding down with it, which will lead to a massive economic crisis, which then the EU would follow it, because the EU is not doing too well either. France is going through a massive real estate situation right now. France and Germany are the only two countries holding the EU together. So if essentially if France goes down due to the real estate issue, then Germany can go down due to the automotive issues. There's a lot of bubble crisis situations happening right now around the world. Let's just put it that way. But Trump coming into power January 20th moving forward, here's a positive. Out of all of this, there's a positive. Trump coming to power January 20th will stop the Ukraine and Russia war, which means there will be less pressure on Russia, which means Russia can stand on its two legs and it can breathe. When Russia gets a chance to breathe, that means they're going to slow down their spendings on their military. That means they're essentially going to be able to maintain themselves and not go towards a massive bubble, which means it won't cause a domino effect of Russia going down and China going down. But China will still probably go on the tariffs because of, Russia was in sanctions. And even though, Trump does, disagree with the whole war situation, but they still essentially went against the sanctions as well. But that's a separate issue. But the domino effect won't happen. The bubble crisis won't happen because Trump will put an end to that war, which means Russia gets to breathe and they can stop their spendings on the military, which means that Russia will have more money to, make their own economy spin again, because that spinning is coming to a halt in Russia by the looks of it if they continue like this. But China is profiting in incredible amount right now from Russia, an incredible amount. 90% of their electronics is coming from essentially China. Their electronics, not for TVs and tablets and mobile phones. No. 90% of the electronics from China is coming to Russia for their missiles, for their tanks, and for their weaponaries. So, if you didn't know, now you know about the whole bubble crisis and the economic crisis that could have happened that Trump is about to stop. Now, on the topic of France, the next news topic is regarding France and their cryptocurrency policies, which if France is going to apply these crypto policies, it's most likely going to be the EU that's going to be applying these crypto policies as well. So before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into that news. And if you, as I said previously, if you're watching this for the first time ever, get involved inside the comment section. This is live. Get involved inside the comment section. Don't be shy. So, as I've been saying for all this time, thank God Trump won. Honestly, thank God Trump won, because if that OnlyFans Kamala Harris would have won the presidency, we would have went into a massive bubble crisis, into a massive war scenario. But all of that stopped because Trump is chosen as the next president of the United States. So thank God Donald Trump won. Honestly, a lot of people could not see the bigger picture. Some people thought they can see the bigger picture, but trust me, a lot of people were not seeing that bigger picture. So honestly, thank God Donald Trump won. I can't say more than enough. Tried to fund my Coinbase account and return my funds. Let's see where we're inside the comment section. Then we go straight inside the France news in regarding crypto policies. Tried to fund my Coinbase account and return my funds. Contact their customer service, see what's going on there, or use a different exchange preferably, but use a legitimate exchange. Raoul is a big fan of Solana, but it's good that he apologized to the XRP community. I agree, he apologized. Raoul, I find okay. I wouldn't put him in the category of scam crypto influencers. I think he genuinely tries to help people. No, I agree. Raoul Paul, he apologized. I said, I respect everybody that apologizes when they're wrong. I always respect people who apologize. Raoul Paul did apologize to the XRP space and said, he was wrong, and he apologized. I respect that so much. But the ones that I don't respect are the ones that told their followers for 4 years to sell their XRP because they're stupid for holding it, and now all of a sudden they're creating videos saying, they're making gains on XRP. For 4 years they've been telling their followers to sell their XRP because they're stupid for holding it. I have zero respect for those types of people, but I have respect for people like Raoul Paul, who admitted, he apologized, I was wrong, I made a mistake, and so on, is what he said. I respect that so much. But the rest of crypto influencers that are going around right now creating essentially videos about XRP going, I made so much money on XRP, but for 4 years they've been telling their followers to sell their XRP. They're stupid for holding it. I have zero respect for those people because they're just hypocrites. All of a sudden now they're pro XRP, but they've been telling their followers to sell their XRP. I have zero respect for people like that. China will bankroll them with weapons. Miles. It's basically what's going on right now regarding that. How you doing, Miles? I'm doing great, Brett. How you doing? How you been? Tomorrow RLUSD, right? Seems like it, yes. RLUSD is supposed to be tomorrow, but it can be pushed. The deadline can be pushed, but it is going to be this month is what's essentially going to be happening. I thought China's economy problems were all gone with that massive gold find estimate at 1,000 metric tons. Apparently not. How you doing, Miles? Brett? Doing brilliant. How you doing? Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Thank God Trump won. Crypto Miles. Let's go, David. Facts. France. Now, what France is going to apply is most likely going to be what the EU applies, which is this. France is proposing tax on unrealized Bitcoin gains, not cryptocurrency gains, but Bitcoin gains. French lawmakers are debating a tax on unrealized capital gains for cryptocurrency. Not just for Bitcoin, for cryptocurrencies. For cryptocurrencies, potentially altering how assets like Bitcoin are taxed. The proposal would categorize cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin as non-productive properties alongside doormat real estate and essentially luxury items such as yachts. This classification will place them under a proposed unproductive wealth tax, replacing the current essential real estate wealth tax. The idea introduced during the French Senate's debate on 2025 budget suggests taxing increases in cryptocurrencies value even if the asset haven't been sold. This represents a departure from the current system where taxes on cryptocurrencies are only applied when profits are realized, such as when assets are sold. Senator Sylvie from France, the proposal sponsor, argued that this change would align cryptocurrency taxations with other wealth categories as well. Last month, the Tax Law Council in Denmark recommended proposing a bill to tax unrealized gains and losses on crypto assets under an essentially inventory taxation model. The proposed law aims to address the unfair taxation of crypto investors and simplify the tax rules for crypto assets. The Senate debate included a essentially vote on the proposal. Notably, only supporting senators were present, meaning that the vote does not yet reflect a final decision on broader essentially consensus. And if the proposal advances, it would need approval from the French National Assembly before becoming an actual law. For those unfamiliar with the concept, unrealized gains refers to the increased value of an asset that hasn't been sold yet. For instance, if Bitcoin's value raises after purchase but is not sold, the owner currently owes no tax on that current increase. The proposed tax will change this by applying levies on paper essentially gains, even if the asset isn't converted to cash. This debate comes aimed at a global trend of governments grappling with how to regulate and tax cryptocurrencies. In the US, crypto taxes only apply when assets are sold. Some countries like Germany and Portugal offer tax exemptions for long-term holdings or classify digital assets more leniently. Regarding taxing crypto assets for people who are holding them is a bit stupid. If you're holding crypto assets and your crypto increases and you haven't sold it, getting taxed is stupid. The only reason France is probably doing this is because they're desperate. France needs money and they don't care where they get it from. So France is thinking to themselves, we probably have a massive crypto user base in France who have lots of Bitcoin and essentially any sort of crypto assets, Ethereum or XRP or Solana or so on. And France needs money and they don't care where they get it from. So they probably thought to themselves, if we pass this law, by the way, the law hasn't still been passed. But France thought to themselves, if they pass this law, they can make a lot of money from a lot of people that are holding crypto assets that haven't sold them or now sitting on profits. So imagine getting taxed on your crypto assets, the ones that you haven't sold. What's funny sometimes when it comes to tax, and I'm all for the idea of building an economy, the country that you live in, you pay your taxes to build the economy. That's if it gets built. But the whole idea on taxing someone on their crypto assets when they haven't sold them is just basically stealing. Because where was, the French government in this instance? Where was the French government when people in France were essentially buying small amounts of crypto assets? Where was the French government where people were struggling to buy small amounts of crypto assets? The French government didn't help the 9-to-5 people that brought cryptocurrencies to get to the level where they are with their crypto portfolios. But the French government wants to come knocking on their doors and say, you owe us tax money for buying crypto assets and not selling them. If you sold the crypto assets, sure, you sold it, you pay a little bit of tax. Even though nobody likes the idea of tax, but if you sold them, you pay a little bit of tax. But for you to tax someone for not selling them is ridiculous. It's basically daylight robbery from the French government. It's honestly daylight robbery from the French government to tax someone on their crypto assets for not selling them. I mean, how much of a desperate and pathetic government do you have to be to tax, to get your money from the crypto side? But I mean, you know, Macron is a weasel, so I could see that pretty much happening if it does get passed down to law. Macron is an absolute weasel. If you thought Gary Gensler was a weasel, Gary Gensler is only the chairman of the SEC. Macron is a ruler of a country. And Macron is an absolute weasel. So he's like the Canadian potential prime minister. You know how the Canadian prime minister is a weasel as well? He's the same. Macron is an absolute weasel. And weak people like him shouldn't be sitting at positions of strength. Weak people should never be sitting in positions of strength because they're weasels. At least if he was intelligent, I could say, well, at least he's intelligent. That's why he's sitting in a position in power. But he's not intelligent, and he's just a weak person, and he's a weasel. France extorted millions and billions of dollars out of Africa. Macron extorted billions of dollars out of African countries, which now they've been kicked out of after who knows how many years. This little weasel has been extorting a lot of countries, and now he wants to extort the crypto space in France. Because they're going through an economic crisis and they need to get their money from somewhere. But honestly, it is genuinely like daylight robbery. Because where was the French government when those people were buying those crypto assets? The French government didn't help anybody buy crypto assets. People worked for that money and used that money to create a better future for themselves. And then here comes the French government saying, we want a piece of the pie. And even if you haven't sold it, which is just... No. Which honestly makes people want to go to Dubai or Kuwait or Bahrain or Saudi Arabia or America. Trump is never going to put a law like that. Honestly, if you're French and you're inside the crypto space, move. Move to America. Donald Trump is about to be creating the best country on this planet for the crypto community. If you're French and you don't want to be abided by this type of situation, go to America. Because Trump is about to make America the capital hub of cryptocurrency and introduce laws that benefit you for being inside the crypto space and not to go against you inside the crypto space. Or go to Dubai. Or Monaco. If you're French, go to Monaco. It's right next to you. Now, the next news we're going to be talking about on tonight's live is regarding rate cuts. So moving away from the French news to rate cuts. But before we go towards the rate cut news that is agenda of possibly happening, let's go inside the conversation first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. I read everyone's comments one by one, by the way, and I read out your name and then your comment and then give you an answer. France, very clever. Hi, Ian. Oh, Yasmin, someone else. That's really bad news. I hope the UK don't do tax on unrealized gains. UK will do this next. Our government needs money and don't care where from also. Trouble is, if it's passed, most French people will have to sell to pay tax. Mad. It is. Imagine that. Imagine the French government telling you need to sell your XRP because we want our tax money. What would you do in that instance, honestly? When the French government comes knocking on your door and saying, sell your XRP because we need our tax money, or sell your Ethereum, or sell your XLM, or sell your HBOL, we need tax money. I'll tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. Yeah, he's France, yeah. If France passes that law, they will have a mass crypto holder exit from their country. I agree. All taxes stealing. I agree as well. How the hell are you supposed to pay tax on your unrealized gains? You're going to have to sell some of the assets to have money to pay the tax, pretty much. It's like taxing a homeowner for unrealized gains, even if you live in the house. Yes, keeping the middleman down when the money is wasted on wars. I agree. News from France is going to create more doubt in crypto space, especially for beginners. Not nice at all. I agree, 100%, Lina. I hope that stupid French government doesn't give an example to others. Well, so far, Germany hasn't followed their footsteps. Germany is doing the whole, when you sell it, we tax it, which is the more logical, process to be taken. But France is the first one to introduce this whole concept. They are all, yeah. If France taxing unrealized profits, investors moving to neighbors countries, and by the way, France government are behaving like pirates. They've been looting Africa for decades and now stealing crypto. 100% I agree with Chilzone's comment. 100% they have been. France has been looting Africa like pirates. 100% I agree. It's Macron. Macron's just a weasel. True, Joe, the selling will push the price down, so he will lose tax revenue. No win for anyone. I agree. Trump is about to make America great again. 100% I agree with that as well. Honestly, America seems like the best destination for anybody that's inside the crypto space. Before, I would have told, if people said to me, they want to move country inside the crypto space, where's the best place to move to? I would have said Monaco. I would have said Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar. These are all like, no tax on your crypto assets and so on. But now if somebody tells me, inside the crypto space, where should I move to? Move to the US. Honestly, because of Donald Trump, move to America. If you're inside the crypto space and you're making good amounts of money inside the crypto space, America is like the best option, because capital of cryptocurrency is about to become the US. Trump is about to create a incredible space for the crypto asset space. So honestly, it just makes more sense. If anybody asks me from now on, if they do want to move country, where's the best place to move to? US. Definitely US. No doubt about it. It's ridiculous trying to stop people from making money in crypto. Better not be a flow-on effect to other countries or we're in trouble. Yes, definitely. As I said, France is the only one introducing this stupid idea. And it still hasn't been passed into law. But, as I said, no Macron, you never know. 2025, he comes out and goes to pass into law. But by the time other countries adapt it could take a few years as well. The idea about it is still stupid, but by the time other countries adapt it could take still 2-3 years. But France, it could be next year. You never know. Now, rate cuts. Let's go to some positive news. Rate cuts. Investors are doubling down on their bets. Rate cuts are exceptionally good for the crypto space. A rate cut from any central bank around the world is an indication that that economy is not doing too well. So if America does rate cuts, then that means there's an indication that the American economy, traditional market space, is not doing too well, and that's why they're having rate cuts, which means investors will hedge against that scenario in alternative assets, which tends to be crypto assets. So we could be getting a rate cut this month, which will put a positive effect on the crypto market space. Investors are doubling down on bets for rate cuts by the US Federal Reserve. December, according to the CME FedWatch tool, the probability of a 25 basis point reduction has surged to 74.5%, up from 66% last week. The last rate cut that we had inside the United States impacted the crypto space positively, and so did the one previously before that. That's just what rate cuts do. People might tell you otherwise differently, but in reality, a rate cut is an indication that an economy is not doing too well, which means people will hedge against it using alternative assets and go against traditional, essentially, assets. Market optimism is based on the Fed's recent trajectory, which has already seen 2 rate cuts this year. The first was a 50 basis rate cut in September that happened inside the United States, followed by a 25 basis point reduction in November that brought rates into a range of 4.5% to 4.75%. Governor Christopher Waller essentially reinforced these expectations during a conference on December 2nd in Washington, indicating he is inclined to support a cut. While noting that his final decision would depend on the forthcoming economic data, this potential third rate cut would continue a trend or essentially of a monetary easing, aiming to bring rates into a range of 4.25% and 4.5%. John Williams, the president of the New York Fed, confirmed this direction by mentioning a downward trajectory over time. Although he did not essentially commit firmly to the timings, markets are eagerly awaiting the public appearance of Raoul Paul, scheduled for December 4th, tomorrow. Tomorrow, Raoul Paul in New York is going to be making some sort of a speech. After he adopted a more cautious tone in November, stating that there was no urgency to lower rates, Bitcoin continues to spectacularly rise. That the beginning after Trump's victory and initial essential rate cuts happened, already shattering its all-time highs of $76,951 in November. The crypto is now trending around $95,800, down slightly by 2% in the last over 24 hours, but it's still strongly bullish trend. The CME FedWatch tool, which bases its calculations on the 30-day futures contracts, reflects a notable essentially shift in the investor expectations. The 8.5% point increase in the probability of the rate cuts over a few days indicates a growing confidence in the continuation of monetary easings. This trend is a part of the particularly favorable context of combining essentially monetary policies and Trump's promises on the more crypto-friendly regulatory frameworks. So if we have a rate cut this month, the crypto markets will react positively, as they did with the previous two rate cuts we had. So that's going to be a good thing. Honestly, if we do get the rate cuts happening, it's brilliant news, because the whole South Korean situation that's going on, then we get a rate cut, the markets will reverse and will go up. Now, moving on from essentially rate cuts, and December 4th essentially being today, in other words, Raoul Paul is going to be making a speech in New York today about the market conditions and the rate cut situation. But according to New York and so on, and the Fed Watch tools, we're heading towards a 25 basis point rate cuts. Now, what we can talk about next is Ripple CLO. Ripple CLO essentially has accused the SEC of multiple things, but particularly in this time around, he's accused the SEC of artificially suppressing crypto market space. Before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. Let's go inside the comment section first. And the next news we're going through is Ripple news. It's all about control, control, control. I agree 100%. Even if French citizens leave, they're preparing a law where they can tax you unless you give up your nationality. Pretty much. Same in the UK. I did hear that the same tax unrealized gains on properties. Yes, they have said those things, but they haven't passed into law. How you doing all? Josh Jones, how you doing? How you been? Do you think all this high taxes on crypto means that countries are closer to CBDCs and they don't want people to have an alternative? Yes. The closer we get to tax rules and regulations and essentially stupid tax rules and regulations like unrealized tax gains and so on, it is an indication that a particular country is getting close to CBDCs. It is. It's an indication that we're getting close to CBDCs from those particular countries. Now, Ripple CLO. Ripple CLO accuses the SEC of artificially essentially suppressing the crypto market space. Stewart, Ripple's CLO, Chief Legal Officer, has blamed the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, for creating a prolonged suppression of the crypto market space. First, Stewart's remarks come after the SEC's actions caused a big fall in cryptocurrencies values, especially XRP. He noted that the SEC locks the market and institutions' artificial market and essentially stifles the market space. Stewart also pointed out that the SEC's hardline stance against crypto regulations had essentially suppressed the market for years. However, he added that the markets did not face problems due to natural forces, but regulatory ones. Ripple's ongoing legal battle with the SEC over XRP has long been a major flashpoint in the US in the broader fight over crypto regulations inside the US market space. That's when XRP has now soared more than essentially 400% in recent weeks, adding plenty of market value. It then briefly became the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap, which is still standing there. Part of this cause of this surge in speculation over a newfound shift in the SEC stance on regulations. Moreover, some have predicted that a settlement inside the Ripple case during the Trump administration. Yes, it is true. There have been many indications. A former SEC chairman, a former CFTC chairman, former SEC commissioners have all came out and given the exact same perspective, which is when we get a new SEC chairman, and Gary Gensler's resigned essentially January 20th, the new SEC chairman will either dismiss or settle every current, essentially, cryptocurrency lawsuit that's going on. Every current lawsuit that's going on with the SEC will either be dismissed or settled. There's a perspective that's came from the former CFTC chairman, a former commissioners of SEC, and a few other high-ranking profiles. Ripple's XRP has obviously skyrocketed in the market capitalization from below $30 billion to over $130 billion, becoming the fourth largest essential cryptocurrency by market value, now the third largest. Analysts say the surge is due to positivity surrounding crypto in general and speculation that the SEC is changing its position on crypto. According to Arthur, the CEO of crypto exchange B2B Pay, XRP entered a long accumulation phase before this rally. Such phases generally result in more significant market movements. When they end, he said, the potential of a US exchange-traded fund ETF focused on XRP's token also contributes to XRP's market growth. Several financial institutions, including WisdomTree, have filed applications with the SEC for XRP ETFs. The signals also rising interest in the token, and primarily since its potential mainstream investment vehicles. There are four ETFs for XRP. Obviously, WisdomTree was yesterday, which I announced on this live. But it is all true, yes. The case is either going to get settled or dismissed. That's what's the momentum right now. SEC, new SEC chairman, rules and regulations, Ripple stablecoins coming out, case getting dismissed or settled, Ripple getting essentially inside the Trump Caesar package as well, alongside Coinbase is what's going on. There's a lot of news around Ripple, and it's all positive news around Ripple, which Ripple deserves it. Honestly, I've always said, and I've always stood behind Ripple no matter what. I've always stood behind XRP no matter what for years, and I've always been saying it back to back every single day. And they deserve it. And everybody inside the XRP community deserves it, just like I do as well. But everybody deserves it inside the XRP community. The positiveness that's going to be coming towards us this year and next year and beyond. Now, also on that topic, Ripple Whales have brought $380 million in XRP over the weekend. So some data has been released from Whales. Ripple Whales significantly moved in the cryptocurrency market, accumulating 160 million XRP tokens over the weekend. The purchase, valued at approximately $380 million, has drawn attention from analysts and traders, and XRP price chart reflects notable bullish momentums. Recent data reveals the surge that happened in XRP accumulation by wallets holding between 1 million to 10 million tokens. These whale wallets are key drivers of liquidity and market sentiments. The acquisitions of 160 million XRP over a short period suggests that a strong confidence in Ripple's ecosystem and prospects. If you're buying as a whale, multiple whales back to back, or buying 160 million tokens of XRP back to back, essentially, it definitely shows market confidence that these whales are seeing that the game is basically changing on Ripple and XRP, and that we're heading towards a positive future inside the XRP ecosystem. XRP ledger ecosystem. The whale buying spree aligns with a sharp upward XRP price trends happened over the weekend. The token's value surged past $2.40, reflecting increased demand and bullish sentiments among market participants. Analysts have noted that this accumulation phase indicates street positioning by large investors in this anticipation of further price gains to be happening. Whale activity is often viewed as a precursor to broader market trends. Large-scale purchases signal a strong investor confidence when it comes to any asset, which can attract retail participation. As XRP's price rises, analysts predict that additional buying pressures could sustain the rally into December. However, the market remains cautious of potential corrections. Historically, profit-taking has followed rapid price surges, especially among the short-term traders. The coming weeks will test XRP's resilience as it faces a key resistance level near $2.50. Beyond price speculations, XRP expanding its ecosystem, adding to the positive sentiment surrounding XRP. The company's ongoing efforts to strengthen its partnerships and enhance blockchain-based payment solutions are viewed as a catalyst for their sustained growth. Recent announcements of collaborations in Asia and the Middle East have also bolstered confidence in Ripple's ability to navigate regulatory challenges and expand its global footprint no matter what. Analysts believe whale accumulation reflects a strict bet on Ripple's success in these initiatives. The capital inflows into XRP suggests that investors are positioning themselves for long-term gains rather than short-term volatility. XRP's recent price rally and whale accumulation have sparked renowned interest in the token as it approaches a critical phase inside the market cycle. The surge in the whale holdings signals a growing confidence in Ripple's ecosystem and its potential to redefine cross-border transactions. As the cryptocurrency market braces for the year end, all eyes remain on XRP, with analysts closely monitoring its open interest and Bitcoin's influence on broader trends. Well, did you look at that? XRP and Bitcoin. All eyes are on Bitcoin, or on XRP and Bitcoin. For the longest time inside the crypto space, all eyes were only on Bitcoin. Now, analysts, essentially traders and whales, and also institutions, all of their eyes are on XRP and Bitcoin going into 2025. Look, honestly, I've said this and I couldn't say more than enough. One, thank God Donald Trump won. Two, everybody inside the XRP community, including myself, we all deserve what's coming towards us, which is an incredible future ahead of us. Honestly, with the case either getting dismissed or settled with a new SEC chairman, rules and regulations, Ripple getting adapted due to the licensings, the stablecoin coming out, and the US dollars isn't the only, RLUSD isn't going to be the only stablecoin on the XRP ledger. We're going to get the Euro stablecoin in the XRP ledger. We're going to get essentially British pound stablecoin, Hong Kong essentially dollars on the XRP ledger. Eventually, Japan's essentially stablecoin XRP ledger. So a multitude of stablecoins are going to be eventually on the XRP ledger, including the regulatory authority has, including having the same category as Bitcoin getting regulated with the amounts of ETFs we're going to get. The future that's heading towards us is incredible, is beyond what you can imagine, which honestly, everybody deserves it. If you've been holding XRP throughout the years, like me, you deserve it. The future that you're going to be getting in 2025 and beyond, you all deserve it. Because XRP, essentially, XRP army, XRP community, we went through hell and back with XRP. Not because it's a bad asset or it's a bad company, but because everybody around us was annoying. XRP has always been an incredible asset. XRP Ledger is an incredible chain, and Ripple is an incredible company. And that will never change. But what was annoying is everybody around us inside the crypto space telling us for years, even though we know what we hold has an immense amount of value in the future, but everybody around us was incredibly annoying. That's what was annoying. So that's why we deserve, from after all of this, essentially annoying comments, the future that we're going to get is just going to be, no words can describe it. And on that topic, all good things must come to an end, which they have now. This is the endings of tonight's live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this was the CMF Live. It stands for Crypto Mouse Family. And this was episode 215 of the CMF Live, which is incredible. Honestly, incredible. If you're watching this for the first time ever, CMF Live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transformed into a digital space. You can tune into this live Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time. So you can tune in tomorrow, in other words, for episode 216. If you aren't following me, follow me. Tune in every single night. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe if you already haven't. Like the live if you already haven't. If you're watching this on X, if you're not followed me, follow me on X. Like, comment, share, retweet, share it to everyone, and let's just grow as a family. which we've always been doing. And this is episode 215, which is incredible that we're on episode 215 of the CMF Live. Thanks so much to everybody that tunes in, honestly. We also have, everything I do is completely free. I don't charge any money. I haven't charged, and I never will either, to be fairly honest. I will never charge anyone any money. I even made a tweet once where I said crypto influencers that charge you money for you calling them or for you watching them or for you messaging them, they're not here to help you. They're here to exploit you. And crypto influencers that are here to offer you free information whenever or every night, or you can message them for free or call them for free, they're here to help you. So I'm the one that helps people. I've been helping people for years. I don't charge a single penny either. All I ask in return is like, retweet, comment, share, subscribe. That's all I've been asking for years. Like, comment, retweet, share, subscribe, and follow. That's all I've been asking for years. So if you haven't done that, go and do that now. Also, you can join this live has a community page on X. You can join it as well, the CMF, the Crypto Miles Family Lounge. Go and join it on X if you already haven't. And join the Telegram group as well. Also free. As I said, I don't charge a single penny. You can message me, you can ring me, you can call me, message me, join in the live, join the group. It's all free. It's always been free. It's always going to stay free. All I ask in return is comment, like, subscribe, retweet, share. That's all I've been asking for. So we've reached the endings of tonight's live. Thank God Donald Trump won. Let's go, Ray. Sounds like we're getting closer to owning nothing and being happy by the looks of it. Do you think all this high taxes on crypto means that country? Oh, we read that one. Incredible future unless our government taxes all away from us. Call me. We can't thank you enough, Miles. Lena, thank you so much for the kind words. Going back to France, this means institutions will not invest in innovation, or maybe they will, voiced in this matters. They won't be investing in France, I can tell you that, if they do, essentially implement that law in France. It's amazing how the tables have turned, all because of Trump, and now we can move forward in the space. Facts. Have a lovely night, Miles and CMF. Lena, let's go. I hope you have a lovely night as well. Thanks, Miles, and thanks for showing us all the way, Miles. Nice one, brother. Let's go, Ian. Great live. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, but same time as usual. Ian, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Lena, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thank you, Miles. Pierce, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Awesome show. Thanks, Miles. See you tomorrow. Mickey, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good evening, Miles, and God bless, brother. Khalid, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Good night, Miles and all CMF. Thank you for all the news. JP, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Have a good night. More morning, Miles and CMF. Carol, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks again. Miles, good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Carol, have a good night. Or morning, Miles, see and CMF. Carol, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night, Miles and family. Great live. Many thanks. See you tomorrow. Ian, see you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow. Can you please explain again about the market cap, banks, and etc. CMC, so I can snip it? Yes, the reason is okay. Regarding market cap doesn't matter. It's not just for XRP. Market cap in general doesn't matter for crypto assets that have utility purposes, because the way it's going to be essentially used, market cap is a terrible metric unit for crypto assets. Market cap is a terrible metric unit for crypto assets in general, for all types of crypto assets that bring utility to the table, especially if they bring liquidity pools to the table as well, or if banks are involved and so on. Banks are not going to go. The way banks will be involved, it will be difficult for those numbers to show up in market cap. It's a complicated process, but what you can be sure of is that market cap not only does not matter for XRP, but it doesn't matter for any sort of crypto asset that has utility purposes, just like XRP does. Like, for example, HBAR or essentially XDC or XLM and so on. They won't matter either for market cap. Market cap's metric unit only matters for stocks, because stocks is buy, sell, which is easy essentially for a market cap to show its valuation. However, cryptocurrencies are not stocks. I've said this for years. They have utility purposes. It's not a stock. You're not buying a stock and buying and selling. You're going to be using eventually utility purpose, which was the first essential reasons of a crypto asset. So on those bases, with banks getting involved, essentially liquidity pools being involved, it's difficult for market cap to essentially, due to the data you're giving, say, due to payments you're giving, say, to show up for the market cap. It's difficult. You can even ask a financial advisor. A financial advisor would tell you that market cap is a terrible metric unit to show the numbers for utility for any sort of asset, not just XRP, but for any sort of asset that has utility purpose. Terrible. Can't wait for your next live session, buddy. Let's go, Bert. Thanks, Miles. Good night to all. Stormy, good night as well. Fabulous live tonight, Miles, as usual. Night, everyone. Joe, see you tomorrow as usual as well. The reasons. Thanks for everything, Miles. Take care, you legend. Ronnie, see you tomorrow as usual as well. Thank you, Miles. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow as usual as well. Good night. Good night, Miles and family. Troy, see you tomorrow as usual as well. There is no limit on market cap. Yeah, pretty much. There's no limit on market. Well, yeah. But liquidity pools makes it very difficult for market cap. Utility makes it very difficult market cap. It's a terrible metric unit, market cap. It would not be applied to XRP. It would not be applied to any sort of crypto assets on the same level of XRP that bring the same level of essential utility to the table. Terrible. You can ask a financial advisor; they'll give you the exact same opinions. Greeting, Mav. See you tomorrow sometimes usual as well. So we have reached the endings of tonight's live. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF and everybody else watching for the first time ever. If you haven't followed, follow. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Like, comment, share, retweet. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a good day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. See you tomorrow for episode 216 of the CMF Live. See you everybody tomorrow.